Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chris and Andre Show.
Welcome to the Chris and Andre Show. We're glad you joined us. I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
We really appreciate you guys joining us today. We talk about a lot of things. And again, we have friend of the show, FireGuyJoe here.
Yep, they can't get rid of me. I'm like bad hepatitis.
Or herpes. We may not always see you, but you're always lurking in the background.
My ever-changing room.
Yeah.
So this week we're doing something kind of bootleg in day one. Looks like our buddies at Riverside are affected by the AWS issue. So we're recording this on our least favorite platform, Zoom.
I mean, I don't know that I'd go so far as to call it our least favorite platform. Google Meet was pretty awful. We didn't even have the ability to record on there. So I would say that that's probably just like a half step below Zoom right now. Because Zoom, I'm glad you're here so that we can do this, because otherwise we wouldn't be recording a podcast episode tonight. But I am not going to enjoy watching this episode back later as I see only one of us at a time speaking. So
It's not the date you want it, but it's the one you're stuck with.
yeah, it's what is it? It's not
It's
the date I need,
night.
but it's the one that I deserve.
I was thinking it's your number two choice for prom night.
Yeah.
That's funny. I got like all types of crap on my, in my office now. I didn't clean my office.
I know. Like that's the other thing. Like normally we understand that we're about shoulder width, right? Like in terms of our framing. And so I'm all like, oh, it's whatever, stuff over here, stuff over there. And now I don't know. I'm going to crop it and I'll make a new frame where it'll just have one and it'll still have all our names at the bottom. Something, I don't know. I'm not going to take the time to like change the label of who it is every time that the freaking video changes. You guys wouldn't see this episode for 3 years, so
that's fair. Well, we're going to get into one of the we're going to start heavy tonight and try to end on a good note. So
do the opposite of what we did last week.
Exactly. So first thing up, we're going to talk about politics.
It's time for politics.
So one thing I want to talk about, and that just kind of blows my mind, is like, and it's really a question: can we talk about gun safety now? Like, can we just what is it going to take for us to truly, wholeheartedly talk about gun safety?
Can I answer that question? I know the rest of you couldn't see me raising my hand until it switched to me, but no, we cannot. Next.
Next topic.
I mean, that seems to be the general perception, is it's like, well, I mean, could we do something? Yeah. Are we going to do anything about it? Nah.
Question being, why not? I mean, what is it going to take for us to have a better conversation about gun safety, have a better conversation? I don't want to get into the whole, I don't agree with the argument with the Second Amendment in public discourse. I think it's sorely out of context.
Sure.
But if we're going to meet in the middle, can we have better laws so kids aren't going to school and killing 3 of their classmates or their peers? And how many times do we have to do this?
I would say there needs to be more realistic law. And I think a lot of times people need to understand what gun control really is. It's not them taking what you already own or preventing you from getting weapons after already been able to got them in the past. It's all about managing what you have so that we can't make things worse for ourselves. Because clearly as a nation, we're consistently making things worse for ourselves. So
we're very good at that.
We're excellent at it, and it's just so depressing. It's so depressing because I know some people are like, as soon as you bring up gun laws, they're like, well, what about alcohol? Alcohol has killed more people per year than guns ever had. I'm like, you can't. I can't throw a bottle of alcohol at somebody and they die immediately.
Right.
But and at the same time, right? Like alcohol is pretty heavily regulated. Like in North Carolina, if you want to buy anything over 20% alcohol, you got to go to an ABC store. So it's like, I mean, for the longest time, you couldn't buy alcohol on Sundays, even beer. Like,
that's a good point.
Yeah, for a while you couldn't buy any alcohol. Now it's just you can't buy alcohol. You can't buy hard alcohol, and the regular stuff you have to wait till after a certain time. So no,
actually, no, the state of North Carolina got rid of the time frame on Sundays. Yeah, you can buy alcohol.
O'clock.
You can buy alcohol anytime now
I've been wasting so much
on Sundays. Yeah.
I've been waiting so much time, like waiting like a humbled man.
Yeah, they finally got rid of that. It was because it was so dumb. Like, you could go to a restaurant and order, 6 mimosas or Bloody Marys on, Sunday morning brunch and get totally tanked. But I can't go to the grocery store and buy a 12-pack of beer. Like,
why can't I have my morning beer except coffee? Okay. Right?
I mean, the other day I had to pick up coffee creamer to come into the office, and I picked up a 12-pack of beer with it. Yeah, the lady gave me a weird look. Yeah, I told her I was going to mix the two. What does she care?
So stupid. You know?
What you should do is lock up a pack of beer and like 6 containers of butter.
No, I mean, like, I legitimately did though. I bought a 12-pack of Modelo for the office here because we were running low, and I think it was last week when we were doing the podcast. I was like, oh, I got to remember to pick up some beer before the podcast, and so I was coming over first thing in the morning. And I was like, well, I'll just go over for now, and because I had to get coffee creamer. I was like, well, I'm here, I might as well get the beer. And I was like, it's like 8:30 in the morning, and I'm here and you're buying a 12-pack of Modelo and 2 things of vegan coffee creamer. Like,
starting fresh.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, that's hilarious. So, and I don't, I just want to, I'll say this to people that are probably, I'm not pro or anti-gun. I'm just like,
you think we have pro-gun people listening to our podcast?
Just say we might.
They may listen to it ironically.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me weigh in on this real quick because it'd be really concise, if you don't mind.
No.
I support guns and I support gun rights. To most of my life I've never owned a weapon until my house is until I felt purposefully like targeted. So for a while during the Black versus Blue Lives Matter movement, firefighters were getting caught in the crosshair, and other than our trucks being shot at by on the way to scenes, in North Carolina there was a number of firefighters killed as they arrived to scenes. And that's not here or there how to go into the history of that or the case files, but it hit home really quick and really fast with us. And tension started to rise really, really quickly when a firefighter pointed a gun at a civilian at a car accident. All the guy was supposed to do is manage traffic, and when the people in the vehicle wouldn't stop because they wanted to go through the median and everything, he pulled a gun out on him. So because of that, anti-first responder sentiments was on the rise. Fire trucks were getting shot, ambulances were getting run off the road, stuff like that. I know gang violence is a thing, but when it's targeted at people who are trying to help you, it just seems counterproductive. So with regards to that, I never felt I needed to own a gun, even though I supported people who wanted them. So the first gun I got was modestly a shotgun, because that's not something you can just take down an entire bus with. You can't just go on a rampage with it.
You can.
Right.
Haven't you been playing Vanguard?
Okay.
It's not.
Well, I wanted something reasonable of not that wouldn't go through like 5 walls.
No, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I understand the logic behind it. I think Andre's arguing with the basis of the logic ever so slightly. But
man, when I went to go buy a gun, the guy was like, "Here's an AK." I'm like, I don't need that. I just need like a handgun or a shotgun. And he's like, well, the handgun penetrates further. I'm like, I don't really need it to go into my neighbor's house. I just needed to stop the guy at the front door. But yeah, that was the first and only time I've ever owned a firearm, and it's more than enough for my needs. I don't flaunt it. This is actually one of the first times I've talked about this year of just owning one. So I think there needs to be a more realistic understanding of what purpose firearms have in our day-to-day life, and and how we should approach them realistically. And I think too many people fetishize them, and they treat them like I do comic books. They just want to collect as many as they can, And yeah, and if you think about guns like comic books, if somebody says they're going to take away your comic books, you get defensive. You don't want that. It doesn't make sense to you. Like, why are you touching my comic books? There's no reason for you to touch my comic books. That's the same way gun fanatics feel, gun enthusiasts, gun loyalists, whatever. So there's a middle ground, and Hawaii was a wonderful example of that. You can own guns in Hawaii, but everything had to be registered, and every year you had to bring them to the sheriff's office to get inspected, make sure you didn't make any illegal modifications to them. But other than that, it was fair game. You can just have guns. Here, buy it, get it.
Well, I'll echo the voice of, and then we can move on because this is a rabbit hole. I'll echo the voice of some influential Black comedians. If we want to really fix gun laws, it's like every Black person start buying guns. Like, yeah. Then people are gonna be like, oh, we need to get some regulations because they're not. It's gonna be a problem.
Just have all Black people start wearing Huey P. Newton shirts like yours,
Oh yeah. Mr. Like, again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just saying, like, I understand the sentiment. I get it, but I at the same time, it's like, I as a parent, I can't imagine. Actually, I can't. We experienced it in my daughter's. I want to say it was her junior year in high school, where there was a bomb threat, and that's not a good look for whoever's thinking about doing that. Because I'm not that guy that's going to be like threaten my daughter and I'm okay, or any of my kids. That's going to be a problem. I don't care if you're like 15, like that's going to be an issue. So
we had, this is like maybe a month and a half ago, all of a sudden one morning I get a phone call from like the automated line at the school that the school is on lockdown. Like the police department had put them on lockdown, and that police and sheriff were both on the scene and had determined that there was at the time no like credible threat, because like basically somebody had made a threat against the school. I don't know if it was specifically against that school or just the schools in New Hanover County or something like that, but it was one of the most terrifying like moments of my life, like getting that call and being like, having not nearly enough information. I got in my car and drove over there, like not with the intention of like going into the school, but like just to drive by and see like, is there some huge scene going on? Like, do I need to be more worried than this message leads me on to believe? And then there were a bunch of police and sheriffs that were just standing out front. It didn't seem to be any like big concern or anything. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to trust that these guys have this stuff under control. But yeah, so I can't even imagine, like, I mean, that was over and done within like 20 minutes.
Right.
If there was like any sort of credible, bomb threat.
So to highlight that, I was on the other side of that spectrum. What it was if I remember correctly, somebody had called the suicide hotline and mentioned how they would rather just go take somebody out with them. And they knew what school the kid went to, so that they did a lockdown in preparation for that. Yeah, right now they're trying to teach us in the first responding field to be more preemptive, less reactive.
Yeah,
so that's why that happened. Yeah. But yeah,
I mean, and that's
maybe you're stuck behind a wall and you can't get to them.
Yeah.
It's like drive my car through the school front doors, like
please do. Yes, yeah, they have enough locking.
Did you say please do?
Yeah, every school's got like 12 gates just to get inside the building. I'm like, I just need to take a piss before my kid gets to the car, please.
Well, on a lighter note, the Republican Party has just decided that they're just going to be racist all the way around.
On a lighter note.
You've got a former KKK leader running for office in Georgia. You've got an Idaho Republican melting down because Hershey did an update or a refresh of a commercial, and you've got Lauren Boebert. It's like, what? How are we saying, as like, or anybody that's a Republican, how are you saying it's a big tent when you keep giving so much of a voice to the fringe?
Wait, Republicans are just saying they're a big tent?
Yeah, they are. I just saw
like a flat one, like a big one that's flat.
it's a pup tent. It's not a real tent. It's just really a pup tent. So you got to get in and lay down.
I like that.
So it's just it's I think that's I will say this again, and it's going to live forever on the internet. The United States is we got to stop pretending like we're this divine country if we can't address the evils of our country and call it for what it is.
I guess like I have a question. Do you feel like there's any sort of like, do you feel like we are in any way a divine country, even if we made those other changes? Like,
I feel like since 2016, and we've talked about this like offline as well, there's been an overwhelming negative cloud, and predominantly with discrimination and racism in this country. And it takes a person like me where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I can, I don't feel like we're the best country. That there's a time I used to say we're a good country, even with our faults. I no longer say that. I just kind of feel like, yeah, we're wilding out for no.
We're lukewarm at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So being a first responder and having my first station shut down because of funding problems. It's not that we didn't have the money. It's that the county was like, hey, we want to start this reverse osmosis water treatment plant because we want to pretend that Gen X doesn't exist, but at the same time, we actually have to take care of it. So we're taking all the money from the fire departments in the county. And since mine was the smallest, we were first on the chopping block. And I went from I was a very strong patriot to all of a sudden I'm disillusioned about our American system, because why would you cut money from such an essential, skill set? Like, I spent a whole year training to do a job for less than minimum wage, and you just cut me out, and now I'm making no money. And then like this week, my therapist says, hey, just let you know, there's new budgeting laws being pushed around. So we're not going to have funding for your therapy sessions in 3 more sessions. And I'm like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, don't you think situations, less firefighters working and then complaining that there's not enough firefighters working, less people being treated for therapy and then complaining that the hospitalization rates for psychiatric people and victims are increasing? We're causing our own problems, and it's not that there isn't a way to stop this. Is that it's like no one really wants to accept their half of the compromise. That's what it is. Both sides got to make a compromise.
It's not about it's. I don't think it's a compromise. I think it's about the difference between right and wrong. Right. I think that.
But right and wrong is subjective.
No, it's not.
It is with the party system. Republicans think everything they're doing is right.
Well, but do the politicians actually think that what they're doing is right, or are they just doing it for whatever it is that they're lining their pockets with? Like that's where I'm. I don't think that like Mitch McConnell actually believes that he's a good politician in the sense that like he's doing things to help people. I think he views himself as like, it's my job to make sure nobody gets anything that I don't want them to have. Like that seems to be his whole MO, is like, I'm Mitch McConnell and I don't like it when non-turtles have things that turtles don't have.
Every year his chin goes further into his skull.
It's amazing.
It's just
for the Republican viewer, I'm just gonna let you know, Mitch McConnell is garbage. Just not even hot garbage, just straight human garbage.
Well, and I mean, if you're the Republican Party, like you've chosen this jackass from Kentucky to basically be like your, de facto leader now that you lost the orange Cheeto. Like
came out in Kentucky that was worth a damn was fried chicken.
Right.
I just kind of find,
and even then, Colonel Sanders was a racist.
That's true too. I think I think the issue for me, it's like they're not even hiding the fact that they're racist.
No,
they don't have to. Well, they don't have to anymore.
Well, actually, they do, but they don't, because they're playing to the percentage of voters that make a difference in elections.
Right.
Right. That's it. It's like
They know that they have their base, right? They know they have their never Democrats, the voters who will always vote Republican, no matter what garbage is spewed or what horrible candidate they put up there. And you're absolutely right. Like what they are appealing to now is that extra 5 to 10% that they feel is going to swing them the election. And I've asked that question repeatedly. Like, how on earth do you see this as like a long-term strategy? And that's what I've finally come to the realization, like there are those Republican voters that you are never going to sway to not vote Republican at this point.
Yeah. So, with that, Republicans, thank you for telling us where you are and what you're all about. At least we know.
We always say that it's better to know where the racists are. Well, they're all in the Republican Party. I'm not saying everybody in the Republican Party is racist, but all the racists are in the Republican Party.
So thanks for that Google map for your locations. And the last thing in politics is SALT provisions. So if you're not sure what SALT provisions are, it's actually something that's been proposed to. It would probably stimulate the middle class and lower income like brackets to be able to write off state and local taxes on your federal income tax, right?
Oh, I thought it was write off their investments in salt farms.
Yeah, kind of where my mind went to it too. Like why are we? It's like war bonds. Is there a salt war coming up that we weren't prepared for?
For everything holy.
Always beating us in our salt wars.
I'm sorry, Andre. Like you got to know that's coming from me, but I do apologize for adding Joe to the equation here to double down on my ridiculous.
We were thinking the same thing. Yeah, for everything holy. I read part of what was being proposed, and it just made me come back to one conclusion.
We ain't gonna get it. We ain't gonna get it.
We don't need it. It's change the damn tax laws.
Yeah, like what is the ability of being able to write off your state and local taxes on your federal tax return?
What, just a few $100?
Exactly. That's in the grand scheme. Now, granted, sure, maybe you folks in California are, it's a much higher percentage.
Or New York or Chicago.
Yeah. Okay. Have your states enact those laws. Like, why do you, right? Or is that, do they need the federal government to do it because it's on the federal tax plan?
Well, the argument would be like there are states like Tennessee that don't have a state income tax, right?
Okay. So then they don't get to write any of that off, is what you're saying?
Well, they have a lower tax liability overall. So they're basically playing a shell game, in my opinion, right? We have an unfair tax system. We're not going to do the work to make it fair for everybody, but let's try to do a kickback. And that's noble. To be fair, it's noble. The problem, they're not addressing the problem though. The problem is the tax system is way bananas.
See, and I would argue with you on the nobility of that, because ultimately they know that it doesn't make a difference, right? Like they know that this is just a shell game, and it's like we're going to move money from here to there. It's just like when W was sending out stimulus checks, right?
Yes.
Oh, here's $200 with my name on it, like, okay, cool.
I'm just saying, like,
did I need this $200? No, not really.
Because like my point being is like you're right. So for most middle class families, $300 is that's gone. It's gone.
I think the other thing to remember is it's not like you write $300 off on your taxes. That's $300 you get. Right. No. Or $300 you don't have to pay. That's not how that works. Like most likely that has no impact on your taxes in the long run, because you're filing with the standard deductions anyways. You're not doing an itemized deduction. And so that additional deduction that they're giving you isn't even going to factor in. It wouldn't make a difference. It's not going to push you. Oh my gosh, I'm getting an extra $50 back because of this. Like, great.
I once itemized my deductions to find out that I would be losing $1,000.
Yeah. So I was unless you're running your own business out of your house, there's usually not a good reason for you to be doing itemized deductions. Right. And you are. I get that. So like, but you see what, but I'm not wrong in my assessment of how that tax stuff works, right? I mean,
you're not wrong. It's everybody starts out paying taxes. The real part of the conversation is how do you reduce your tax liability which in turn gives you a refund, right?
Right.
And
Well, Amazon doesn't pay taxes.
So they don't have to worry about a refund.
Just saying.
But they're still getting one.
People lose the thread of the conversation when they think about refund, or they think about, what you're actually paying. I think the focus should always be on what's your actual tax liability. And if we can ever get to that conversation, we're not having conversations about the SALT provisions and the Build Back Better plan.
Yeah.
Let's do the hard work of actually really looking at our tax code and tax laws and fixing that. And that's all I got to say about that.
Where's the fun in that?
Thank you.
Collaboration, synergy, thinking outside the box, raising the bar, breaking down silos, shifting the paradigm, disrupting the market, business.
The only thing I have in the next topic, business, is Jack Dorsey left Twitter.
I'm surprised this didn't show up in social media. I mean, I know it was probably a toss-up between the two, I figured.
Inform people who may not know who this person is. I'm just not saying me, but
yeah, no, the other people, because obviously FireGuyJoe knows exactly who Jack Dorsey is, but
He's one of the co-founders of Twitter.
One of the co-founders of Twitter. He had left at one point,
Twinkie,
right?
What are you eating, a Twinkie?
no, it's a miniature pecan pie. My daughter
I was gonna
called
say.
to the door to give it to me. It was so cute.
That's adorable. He's got to eat that. I don't blame you.
I just remember I didn't eat last podcast, so I got to hurry up.
Yeah, that's right. Get it in. Yeah. So Jack Dorsey was one of the co-founders of Twitter. He left at one point, right, and then came back and was CEO, and then he got promoted to board, but was still kind of like acting as CEO or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't care, I guess.
Why is it when rich people come back to work, everyone loses their shit? Oh my God, he's back. Like,
well,
in that case, it was more, I think, because Twitter, they felt like Twitter was kind of tweetering on the edge. Yeah. Like
it was a while there. Yeah. It was coming very irrelevant really quick. But now, because of the porn industry, is all over the place.
Well, I think what keeps Twitter relevant is journalists.
You know it's true. It's true.
Journalists.
I'm not Ted Cruz. I'm not searching for porn on Twitter.
Neither was I. I was looking for Xbox stuff.
Journalists use Twitter, and it's actually a good, like, if you want like the latest and breaking quote unquote news.
Yeah, it's instantaneous. Yeah,
Twitter's a spot.
But where they messed up was with their algorithms. Again, it all comes like, give me my freaking time feed, like just give me a timeline that is straight chronological. If I want a highlight section, give me a highlight section that I can click into, but don't force me to see stuff from 3 and 4 days ago stacked in the middle of stuff that happened 2 and 5 minutes ago, because then I'm sitting here like, how does this make any sense?
For things you're not even following, they just randomly put something there that has nothing to do
we
with
thought you'd like this. Like, no, Jack, I don't.
I don't have a software because I would never write. I don't think I would ever purposely write code to create a social media platform. But I think I do find it interesting that their stock price was stable until they announced their new CEO. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was actually the current CTO of the company.
Right.
So they're trying to figure out a way to make it a money play. And on the flip side, he's like, well, I'm going to try to take some time off, and it's hard being a founder and blah blah blah, and I want to focus. But I'm going to go spend full time at Square.
Yeah. Where, by the way, we are introducing crypto.
But anyway, that's all we got for business. So Jack Dorsey, thumbs up, dudes. You be your best guy.
Happy trails.
Enjoy your money.
Yeah. He's like I think he's in the top 20 richest people in the world. I'm sure he'll be okay.
Poor guy.
Let's talk about technology.
Let's talk about some technologies.
Yeah. So this one kind of falls into the social media sphere as well, but I understand exactly why I got to put it in technology because of the technological aspect of it. I think we had talked about this before when it was first announced back in like October when Donald Julius Trump's
I can't get enough of that.
I know. His new social media site had like a, like a, what is it? They call it like a soft open,
A soft
like
launch.
yeah, soft launch that they had online. And everybody immediately was like, wow, this looks a lot like Mastodon. But I know that Mastodon requires you to, provide the code source for this. And if you're going to use it, and they aren't doing that. And so Mastodon was like, we're going to sue the pants off of you. And apparently, the people at Devin Nunes, maybe, now who's working over for Trump, was like, oh, well, we'll create this small section that we'll never talk about, but we'll put it out there. And you can download. Now I'm curious because the article that you posted mentioned that you can download Mastodon's open source code, but I don't know that you have the source code available for the actual Trump Truths site. Do you?
Actually, you do.
Okay.
And it
so that is what they put up there.
Yeah. And it doesn't have the customizations. I was literally going to, I was going to like open it up.
Sure.
But I was like, I don't want to. I don't care.
We should stand up our own. We'll call it Truths Trumps.
I like that. That's a good one. You got a couple of good ones. Look at that.
Yeah, I was literally going to like open the source code and see what happened, but I was like, I just
you have better time. You have better things to do with your time than chase that. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that at least the open source platform that they used is getting some credit for it. I'm hoping that in the long run, them having to use an open source platform and exposing their source code makes it inevitable that they just get like hacked. They
are definitely going to get hacked,
right? So whoever's brilliant idea it was to build this on an open source platform that requires you to make your source code available.
They were just trying to do it for free. Yeah, do it for as close to free as possible because that's.
But he doesn't. I thought Trump invested like $100 million into this, right?
Himself, yeah.
Yeah.
He had to pay himself to use his own name,
right? Well, his name's worth about $100 million according to Trump.
What's ironic is the valuation on the Truth whatever media Trump media whatever group. It's like it's a billy.
Yeah,
I can't get that. Like first of all. And I think a lot of people are going to like probably buy it for the 3 to 6 week rise in the stock and sell it. What's interesting to me from the tech side was that he said that it was proprietary code, and it's our fault because we've been saying for like months, like make your own social media network. Like
obviously they were listening to us.
They were listening. We're not sure who's listening to us, but they were definitely listening, and they decided that we can do this. So I don't care, but I find it pretty interesting, and hats off to the open source community for being able to fuel fascism.
You just kiss your book.
I can't wait to the comic book section, man.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. So one question I have, I sent a video. It's actually it's a really good documentary on TikTok. I
did not get the chance to watch it yet.
That was not something I thought I would hear.
Yo,
on TikTok, is like parted out.
No,
the TikTok movie, the story of TikTok and ByteDance.
Ooh, that sounds dangerous. Now you say that.
It's amazing. It's actually really amazing. So I found this channel. I'm gonna figure out who the channel is so I don't butcher it.
Is it Magnates Media?
Yes, Magnates Media. Let me pause and say Emergency Awesome and Cosmic Wonder. Those are two channels I watch for a lot of stuff on Marvel and comics and movies. And so Emergency Awesome. I can actually say it without screwing it up. And Cosmic Wonder. Thank you very much for the work you guys do. You guys are awesome. But anyway, Magnates Media and Company Man is another, like I watch a lot of finance and business stuff. Like that's the white noise in my office when I'm working. Because
so offended.
And you should.
White noise.
But a phenomenal movie on TikTok. And the thing that stood out to me the most, and if you guys haven't watched it, I recommend you do. What blows my mind is how ByteDance has figured out the almost perfect algorithm.
Yeah.
You talking reference to people's attention span, right?
Yes.
The whole.
Oh, and then the fact that how it predicts what you're going to watch next based on what you've already been watching. Hence the whole like subgroups like D&D talk and stuff like that.
Yeah, they've nailed it. Like I don't know how they've done it.
Yeah. Anal plug talk. I don't know how I got there.
Clown porn.
Oh,
we all know how you got there.
You remember.
Of course I do. No, I still have clown groups showing up in my Facebook recommendations now. No, like we were hanging out, or no, we were playing video games. Like the first time that we ever talked.
Talk about clown porn.
And somehow I said something about clowns, and he was like, "How did you know I was into clown porn?" And I'm like, "Okay, well that's ha ha ha." And he's like, "No, like legit." And then like the very next day, Facebook is like, "Here's this clowning group," and I'm like, "Dude, that is not right. Like this is not right."
Everybody talks about these hunkers, but they never talk about this hunker.
I sent a screen cap of it to him, and I was like, "I blame you exclusively for this." By the way. Yeah, I know we've left Andre speechless. No, so my wife and I had a double date last night with this couple that she met on Bumble, BFF. She met the wife on there, and they're both vegan. Dude works for one of the.
That's why he didn't invite me again.
Yeah, of course.
Upgrade.
Yeah, you gotta get to this level, right? The vegan level before you get. No, of course not. I'm just fucking with you.
Continue.
So he actually works for one of the websites that like covers Wolfpack sports. He didn't go to NC State, but he was wearing like a little NC State, logo on his shirt and stuff. And so we were chatting about that. I told him about the podcast. So Jake, if you're listening, thanks for checking us out. And yeah, also really, really sorry.
Yeah, I bet you wasn't expecting clown porn talk.
Probably not. That didn't come up at dinner last night.
Seriously.
Pause. Everybody pause. For the last 3 minutes, I can't say anything because I'm like, why are we talking about clown porn? Continue.
Okay. So while we're at dinner, he asked something about TikTok. He's like, "Oh, are you guys on TikTok?" And I'm like, "She is." I absolutely refuse to get on it. And he and his wife were both like, "Oh, it is the most addicting thing that I've ever." Like, you don't even have to follow stuff, right. Like on every other channel, you have to kind of choose what you want to follow. Like you guys are talking about with the algorithm, it's like, "Oh, you watch this? Okay." You're going to watch 10 more of these. YouTube is starting to do that. No, it's not YouTube. It's Instagram is starting to do that, and Facebook is starting to do that too, where instead of there just being like a chronological feed or like a repetitive feed, it updates based on the video that you spent the most time watching. Like if you watch a video 3 or 4 times over and then go to the next one, you're 10 times more likely to get a very similar video. So like for me, it's almost always dog videos because I'm always just like cracking up at dog videos. And then I'll scroll and it'll be another freaking dog video, and then another freaking dog video, and then another, and then like 6 hours later, I'm like, I have to adopt all these doggies. Sorry. That's the end of my rant.
Okay, but we're not talking about clown porn anymore, right?
Clown porn.
Man.
No, but so the gosh, I'm like my brain
really threw him off.
Never heard of like you have in the middle of the action. I'm just saying.
So I'm saying like they figured out the almost near perfect algorithm. Totally watch that video. It's dope. But the question I would ask anybody is, why are you so addicted to social media?
Because we're all depressed. We're all stuck in our house, and we don't get to socialize as much as we do. And when we do socialize, it's so fucking awkward because no one knows what to talk about. We've all had a very shitty year, and it's almost like the more it's like it's not about how good was your day, it's how bad was your day, and can you outdo me in my depression?
That's pretty weird.
Guessing.
Yep, but in a weird, morbid way, it's how we're socializing in this time period.
I mean, there is an element of that. I agree. And I think, part of it is like the relating, right? Like I think Andre and I have talked about this before, where I do it sometimes too, where somebody's saying something and you're like, oh, that reminds me of this thing that happened to me that was very similar, right? And then you wait for them to finish talking and they're like, oh, blah, 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 and you're like, oh, he's almost done talking, and then it's my turn. Yeah.
Okay, that's very conceited. That's not what I was meaning.
No.
My presence here on this podcast is entirely because I reached out in my time of sadness, and because I don't have much of a personality. I have just comic books and video games and firefighting. That's not personality. Those are hobbies and occupations. So what's things I can share with people to see if I can relate? This shitty thing happened to me. And they're like, oh yeah, that shitty thing happened to me too. Let's talk about that. This is funny. That leads on to jokes. And next thing you know, you're having real connections. And now we're talking about clown porn.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're not talking about that.
But you make a really good point. And that,
Yes,
I mean,
he does.
the part of the reason that like I, messaged you on Bumble BFF was because of what you had in your profile, talking about what was going on in your life. And I'm
Other
like,
than the hot ass pictures of me being in my fire gear.
well, yeah, of
Or my
course.
Stormtrooper. I'm sorry, Stormtrooper.
But
Have you not seen it, Andre?
no, he hasn't. I didn't like take screenshots of your whole Bumble BFF profile and be like, oh, this guy's talking to me on.
Pounding.
Because I would have shut that shit down.
Yeah,
Like,
that dude talked about clown porn. Nah. No, but like for real, I saw that stuff in yours, and part of it was that, like, I'll be honest, when I was going through my separation and divorce, like Andre was the person that kept pulling me back off the ledge. Like, he was the one that was always there to be like, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna hurt like a mother, but when you're gonna get through this. And I guess in like some ways I saw it as an opportunity to kind of like pay it forward.
Yeah, pass it on, like you said.
Yeah, like somebody was really like there to help me when I really needed it, and I didn't even know that I needed it, and
the time when you and I went to Hell's Kitchen for that bro date,
yeah,
it was the first time I was out as an adult by myself, let alone since this all started. So that one experience was fantastic for me. It was just as awkward as it needed to be, and it ended on such a great note that it left a good impression that it makes me want to reach out and try to meet other people. I'm not trying to like dump my kids on them, because God knows that's a whole nother topic. Dating kids is a whole nother thing.
Oh, it is.
But I just want to at least, like, I'm not afraid to talk to people anymore. Like,
that's what's up. That's dope though. That's dope.
And occasionally somebody makes fun of my tattoo, Andre. But
I'll be honest, like, I'm gonna say what I'm thinking. It doesn't mean that I need your approval. It's just kind of like
having that said, since we're saying what we're thinking, you know how mad it makes me that cream pie as a terminology has gone so mainstream. Oh no, that was a clown thing before all this happened, people. You do not take that from us.
It was. He's not wrong.
Sports.
And let's talk about sports.
Yeah, Joe, you can tune out for the next like 5 minutes. 10
Okay,
minutes.
I'm gonna put my this down, and I'm just gonna get back to working on the wall.
All right, we're coming back to you though. Don't hide out.
Yeah, don't go too far.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going nowhere. I live here.
Okay, that's true.
Just pay attention.
With that, I think my season's pretty much done. I got Teddy Bridgewater being like my least favorite quarterback.
You're literally the whole team was like, we could probably go win this game if we had nobody playing quarterback. Like, just put Javonte Williams back there, let him receive the direct snap, do like the Patriots did to the Bills, and just run it every single time. Like, oh, so bad. I'm so sorry. Like, I watched a little bit of that game, and I saw him throw like 2 of those really awful picks. And when Daniel Sorensen had that pick 6, I was just like, okay, that's that game.
But even his picks, and I tried to play, put myself in his position. He was stepping back into the pocket, and Collins made the wrong. Like, he kind of predicted that. He's like way comfortable in the pocket. No, he's not. He stopped looking, and there were soft throws right to the defenders. So he's good in the pocket, but he's not looking at the routes as they progress. And there was a lot of profanity in my house watching that game, and it's not against Teddy Bridgewater the person. It's Teddy Bridgewater the quarterback. His body language. He tuned out of the game. He's like sitting, like you get pictures of like the camera catches him rubbing his forehead. He's like done. He checked out.
Yeah.
So, pardon me. I'm done with the guy. Like,
Denver is too. Like they're not bringing him back for another season. I don't think they bring Fangio back for another season either. But
no. It's beyond Fangio.
I agree, but
it's even Peyton, like the freaking GM. He should go. Wait,
you mean Elway?
No, Peyton George.
Oh, George Peyton. That's right.
Yeah, he should go. He's not good.
Well, I mean, if he's making moves to bring in Teddy Bridgewater as your quarterback of the future, then yeah, I agree. Like that's. I think, look, the offseason was crazy this year because you had Aaron Rodgers was like acting like he wasn't going to play for Green Bay no matter what, right? You had all these other quarterbacks that Sam Darnold was moving around. You had Deshaun Watson and his whole situation, so you kind of knew nothing was going to happen there. But early on, it was basically like, well, somebody's going to go get Deshaun Watson. You had Cam. I know your feelings on Cam.
Please don't.
But I'm just saying, you had a lot of different guys moving around out there, and I think the Broncos were pretty convinced that they were high in the runnings for Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, you put Aaron Rodgers on that Broncos team, you at least have a playoff team, you know, like, and so I can kind of understand being in that position, not getting Aaron and then feeling like, well, we got to put something together for this year. Teddy probably wouldn't have been my choice just based off of everything you've seen from him at this point. But what were your other options? I mean, I know you would have rolled with Drew Lock, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. I haven't seen anything from Drew Lock that makes me think that like he would have been demonstrably better this whole season or would have helped them to win games.
I disagree because if he gets snaps, he gets warm with the snaps. He's making better plays in the field.
It's possible. Yeah. I mean, you're not,
it's not possible. It's true.
Well, no, I'm saying it's not impossible for him to be a decent quarterback, right? I'm not trying to say that it's like the guy doesn't have any talent. There's no way they should have started him. I just personally didn't feel like, okay, that's a guy that I would want starting for my team, right?
You're not gonna like this, but I see Drew Lock like I see Phillip Rivers, right?
Okay.
It's like you can't start Phillip Rivers like his freshman year in the league. He was cold. When he started to warm up, I mean, he was actually like, I will say this on the record, Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback.
Yeah. Hall of Fame.
I won't say that.
I just think if I speak it into existence enough, eventually it's just going to happen, you know.
But like, that's the kind of like he's a kind of like that's how I kind of see Drew Lock, a young guy that's got to understand the pace of the NFL.
How many seasons has Drew Lock been in the NFL now?
This is his third.
This is only his third season.
Yeah, he started last season. That was it.
God, he's only 25. He seems a lot older.
No, he's not. So I don't want to like.
Phillip sat for what the first 2 years in San Diego behind Drew Brees, and then they had that awful year with Brees, and he got injured at the end of the year. They had the number one, or no, it wasn't when they had the number one pick. They had the number one pick before because it's when they drafted Manning and then traded for Rivers. But yeah, I don't know.
It's just my take. But the last thing I want to say about like where I'm at with sports is I kind of think I'm going to boycott the Winter Olympics. I really have no interest in watching that shit right now.
Where are the Winter Olympics this year?
In China.
Okay, it's in China. Joe is showing. Is that Deadpool? That is Deadpool.
It is Deadpool.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a beautiful cover.
It really is. Sorry, everybody. Joe is showing us his comics that he's putting on his wall that you can't see.
Because we're using Zoom.
Yeah. So what like Biden is talking about a potential diplomatic like boycott, right, of the Winter Olympics in China.
Yeah, and I support that. I support it 100%.
You on the human rights side of things, you feel like, or just
and actually
is it again? Biden boycotting his Olympics?
Yeah. So there was something in the news yesterday, I think, that was talking about the Biden administration was looking at doing a diplomatic boycott of the upcoming Winter Olympics in China.
Yeah, because those really work. That's like Civilization 5. I denounce your whatever.
No,
what you just did.
actually, they do, because and I think what probably, well, they say they were planning it for months, but the World Tennis Association, actually boycotted them because of the player that
had disappeared.
Went MIA and had the staged, "Oh, I'm okay,"
and then went MIA again.
It's like we're
Is there
good.
like a secret tennis mafia that I'm not knowing about?
Yeah, you hadn't heard about this?
No, I live in a freaking room by myself with 3 kids. All I hear is just screaming.
Yeah, but you have the internet, friend.
For clown porn. That's what we all use it for, right?
You're using up all of your bandwidth on clown porn.
It's like
we'll just all pretend like you didn't just drop whatever you just dropped.
I almost dropped all my comic books.
I was very glad you didn't.
And me too.
So I almost said clown porn.
It's sticky, just like their pies.
Mission accomplished, Joe.
So I support Biden with boycotting the Olympics. I support the WTA for pulling out any actually all their competitions from China.
I always support when the good person pulls out.
I knew it with all of our cream pie and clown porn conversation that Joe was not going to pass up an opportunity.
Man, there's a populace of degenerates that will watch this show, and when they find me on it, I'm sorry, but
I love like you're just sitting here working on your wall, like doing the podcast. Last week we were playing Civilization. Like,
man, any minute
eating chicken nuggets.
Any minute you could die.
So
if that happens, I hope you know we're totally publishing this episode.
Please do.
So I just kind of feel like, I think the president's got the right move. I think it'll
I mean, frankly, I don't give a shit one way or the other. Like, the Olympics mean so little to me at this point, and especially the Winter Olympics. Like,
how many Republicans are now going to think the Olympics are the best thing in the universe, and how dare Biden boycott them?
Oh, probably all of them.
That would be tricky, though, right? Because then it would look like they're soft on China.
Yeah, they're supporting China.
Oh, we don't like soft China.
No, we want hard China.
Hard.
And
wait, we still have one more topic.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say because you guys are you guys are going in a place I necessarily don't.
We're going there hard and fast.
Yeah. Well, I just had a flashback to 1994 when I stopped watching baseball because the idiot owners of the MLB decided to lock out the players.
Yeah. And you know what's really cute about what they did this time? Is that they went and signed players to some of the most exorbitant contracts imaginable right before the lockout, so that when players started complaining about player salaries, everybody goes, but like Trevor Bauer just signed a $150 million contract, the highest contract ever. What do you mean the players need more money?
You know what I think about like sports team like organizations, and it goes across the board. Like I didn't watch baseball for 3 seasons because of the 94 lockout.
Yeah.
And when you fast forward to 2021, you look at the decline of viewership of sports, like across the board. You pick a league. I think the MLB is like dying. They are dying. They're cutting off their noses despite
they let business supersede the spirit of the game, and now they're seeing the repercussions of it.
And you have like A-Rod, like nothing personal. Well,
it is all personal.
Yo, this guy always has something to say, but he was banking off the MLB. Like, and I hate it when A-Rod speaks up about the player disputes. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, you're okay. Like, you're fine. You're gonna be okay. And you botched it with J-Lo. So like, I just really can't mess with you right now. So
that's like Bill Gates complaining about affordable housing.
Oh well, Bill Gates, like his lesser. Like it's actually kind of funny that Bill Gates isn't getting dragged through the mud because he had an extramarital affair.
He did?
He did.
No,
I'm
they're too
not
busy.
surprised.
Too
Look
busy
out.
dragging him through the mud for building, like sneaky vaccine robots.
Hey, seriously though, that one right there, it's just gold. It's just beautiful.
That is
And I'm gonna
beautiful.
f it up by putting a nail through it.
Jeez.
Man,
Well,
let's
Do it.
Since you're messing stuff up, we're going to talk about pop culture.
Pop culture.
So I sent you a video
You did
of this group that I am a big fan of.
that you have no
Blue
like
Man Group.
relation to whatsoever.
That, yo, I heard one of the most fire verses. Like, well, actually, I've heard it before, but I saw it in the video. I'm like, yo, that is so bananas. Young Bull puts out their new joint called Black Crown about a month ago. Their newest video. It is insane. It is like, it's really great.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
If this song and video dropped a month ago, why did I only find out about it this last week?
Because that's when I found out about it.
All right, well then I have a bone to pick with Young Bull. What? I swear, like I'm following them on YouTube and stuff too. Like I should have gotten some sort of notification.
Me too. And I'm very upset. I'm actually upset about that. So I'm going to reach out to them and say, yo, your notifications aren't working.
Yeah, obviously. I'm gonna have to check my notifications and make sure that they're working properly. Oh, I just realized that the Chris and Andre show was not previously following Young Bull.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
we are.
that is a dope song. So to me, Gabe and Christian, you guys are amazing. And yes, I actually did the names in a random order on purpose. So you guys figure that out whenever you can, if you're listening. But the verse is fire, yeah.
It is. And the video is
it's very
it's
creative.
great. I mean, it's just I have been a big fan of their music for some time now. I figured for a while there they were probably like, who is this guy that just like keeps liking all of our tweets and like retweeting all of our stuff, and he's like this nerdy white kid. But I love it. Like they are all super talented. They make really, really good music, and the videos. I don't know who comes up with the ideas for their videos and stuff, but they're great ideas, very creative, and it's all shot just beautifully,
Immaculate. Yeah. Like it's
Black Crown in particular, I think is like the hottest video that they've done yet. And just, I mean, like the other stuff's really good, but that one just has like a certain level of quality to it that
What's also hot?
your wall of comics.
If you say clown porn, I will murderify you. You will
I
get
didn't have to say
murdered.
it. I didn't have to say it.
You didn't have to say it because it's already
It's
there.
already in your mind. Yep. There you go.
Next thing I want to talk about is Hawkeye on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You not
Yo,
spoil episode 3. I didn't see it.
No, I think I'm only two
sorry.
episodes in
I'm
too.
Sorry, I'm a piece
So
of
we
shit.
can't talk much of it because I'm right there with you, Joe.
Yeah,
Like I'm only
was in
2
court.
episodes in.
oh my god, that is like
But-
the,
It's great, right?
it is dope. It is like one of the it is the best by far. It exceeds Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier. And the only reason why is because it flows so smooth.
It's connected, not disjointed.
If I rank the two, like the shows they've had so far on Disney Plus, it would be Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then whatever else they've done, like
WandaVision and Loki.
Loki, like those things aren't even.
Oh God, that's hard because I really liked
Hold on,
Loki.
Let's throw this out here because I know somebody in the comment section would be like, "Mandalorian is not like a Marvel thing." It is. It is. I have tons of these.
Yeah, that
Star
proves
Wars.
the case.
Yeah. So suck it. Go look at your clown porn and sadness.
All right, so you would add the Mandalorian at the top of your list? Is that what you're saying, Joe?
That'd be the bottom of the list.
Mandalorian's top 3. It's Without
No.
Andre, would you have
All
liked The
that
Mandalorian
side.
better if they had just done it about Boba Fett like they were supposed to at the
Yeah,
first?
I would definitely do that because
Are
that
you
shit-
at all excited about the Book of Boba Fett?
the trailers look dope, but
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be disappointed. But I want to
I mean,
say Hawkeye.
I assume it's basically going to be like Mandalorian, but Boba Fett.
Yeah. I would definitely say I would like without a doubt say Hawkeye is the best show they produce. And I actually, to be honest, I would tie with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
See, and I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like I
was so disappointed with that.
why?
My boy, U.S. agent, gets on screen for the first time in his entire career. He's not even on on the TV shows. He gets on screen and he looks so
He was a putz.
Yeah, but I
U.S.
think
agent is supposed to be a dude, bro, like Eddie Brock, just being like, "I love America. Let's beat the hell out of some immigrants."
That was
That's
not the guy that they got to play that.
No,
character.
no, they got a guy I actually liked and I had respect for, and I was disgusted by that.
I think it plays with the storyline pretty well. Then I think that, and we've talked about this before. It's just a matter that Marvel's has done a good job of like bridging the gap. Bridging the gap between people that have read the comics and people that are not familiar with it and catch them up to speed. And I'm okay with how they kind of vary the character, and I moved on.
I moved on. Some of us can't. Some of us burned into our souls.
But
like what they did to Carnage.
Oh, I don't want to talk. I cannot talk about that movie ever again. I will not. I will never talk about Venom because, like,
Except that you are.
And he did.
It's like a trauma shock. You can't help but say it after you remember it.
Yeah, I'm good. I think that, but I do think that Hawkeye is, and I know that they're getting flack because they're not giving any love to the creator of that particular run they're basing it off of. And I was kind of torn about feeling so good about the show, but the show is good. Like, Marvel, please clean up your crap with your writers and artists.
Marvel's always had a history of that, though.
Yeah,
they don't give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, but they definitely need to give they need to fix that. But the way they put that show together is so dope. It's like I would have to say it's going to be Hawkeye and Falcon and Winter Soldier tied at number one, and what I've enjoyed the most about Disney Plus.
I've got all four literally just written on a piece of paper and then numbers 1 through 4, and I'm having a really hard time putting them in like any semblance of preferential order.
Well, what are you using for criteria?
Which ones what I enjoyed the most, like which ones if I was ranking them 1 through 4, which ones did I like the best? Like I loved Loki. I loved Tom Hiddleston. I liked that whole story. Was really enjoyable for me. I really enjoyed WandaVision. Like I waited to get around to watching it. And
they did Wanda so good on that. Like they brought her character out from the comics more so than the movies ever did.
That was kind of, and I like the fact that it was built around like her not being able to like grieve, like this was all based on like this was her like grieving. Yeah, exactly. And I love Falcon and Winter Soldier and Hawkeye, and so I'm struggling. I hate to say it, but they're all kind of tied.
So
since we're talking about Captain America real quick, I'll interject. There's a new issue of the United States of Captain America. I accidentally found this series. It's not getting any attention. But to summarize, it's all of the versions of Captain America, Native American Captain America, OG, original, coming together to fight, crime. But they're doing it in a way that's very
patriotic.
No, we're just patriotic. Yeah.
You didn't even have to stretch for that.
Very race focused.
Or ethnicity.
So you're seeing different Captain Americas from different eras work together for a common goal. So with that, you can see how all the Captain Americas can relate to each other, but then how each Captain America is starkly different. And
so it's like Spider-Verse.
Well, that was actually that was a pretty good connection, but yeah, he's not wrong.
I think
Miles
No, I
Morales-
know, but the anger that flashed in Joe's eyes in that moment was like, "How dare you?"
So
like,
I held my
distill this
anger.
down.
I held my anger inside when you said that, but I get it because Spider-Verse is really like Marvel's got to figure out how to do this whole quote unquote diversity thing. Like,
no, you didn't. Look, this boy right here. This boy right here is a punk rock homosexual, and he dresses up a Captain America because he's homeless and he lives on the rails, train tracks, and he's like, I'll beat up people who beat up people who on the train tracks. He's pro homeless.
Wait, so he's a hobosexual?
Yes, and I love him. I need more of this guy in my life. Like,
but to be fair, I and maybe my perspective is kind of like
there he is almost getting his ass beat by Captain America, and then once Captain America realizes, oh, you're not a bad guy, sorry about that, me too.
I think the issue that Marvel's got to figure out is to like make characters that reflect like whatever group they're trying to represent.
So you're saying we're not all homeless hobos with delusions of grandeur?
Yeah, we're not.
I feel that. I feel like I am though in life.
But
I've looked at my choices in life and I'm like, no, this is hobo talk. Hobos do it.
See, that just reminds me of like playing D&D where our dungeon master would always be like, so you guys are just going to straight murder hobo this situation, right?
But
so my question would be like, and I look,
here it is. That's the one I was looking for. It's Captain America OG, my boy Bucky Cap, when he was like walking around with a Luger popping people in the kneecaps. Oh God, yes. US agent. I don't like the new version of him, but he's there. And then back Captain Falcon.
I don't even call Sam Captain America. I just call him Sam. And I think that the thing that Marvel needs to figure out, and they'll do a better job of having longevity, is to like introduce new characters. Like Falcon, like he has a Cap like themed like uniform. I still call him Sam.
Now, when you say introduce new characters, are you referring to reframing like the center point characters into like new versions of them, like they did with Miss Marvel, or are you saying just new original characters that have nothing to do with?
I think both. I think Miss Marvel's story, like I struggled with the first few episodes of that, and then as I kind of warmed up to it, I was like, oh, I see that, right? It wasn't Captain Marvel, it was Miss Marvel, right? Because I was kind of like,
yes,
what?
Miss Marvel. Yeah, Miss Marvel. The title of Miss Marvel was given to her by the now Captain Marvel, who was Miss Marvel, and which, speaking of the original Miss Marvel like comic books, they were just so, they were always well drawn, like really good. Yes, sexist, but they're super well drawn. And why are you yawning, Chris?
Because I'm tired.
Oh, speaking of races, I gotta pick this up as well. Superman versus the Klan.
Wow.
He's straight up punching Klansmen in the face. This is literally him coming up with a Klan master. I'm just, oh my God, I these kind of things have been popping up like crazy, and it's just for somebody who's colored and loves reading comic books, finally seeing some just desserts.
And I think that's the beauty of like, and like Chris and I talked about this before, where like Marvel, they've done a good job of like the X-Men. I always mess with the X-Men. That was my one of my favorite comics growing up, because unbeknownst to me, like the way they wrote it was to talk about the civil rights movement. I didn't realize that until I got older. But that's why the story is connected. This DC does like this, it's like they're chasing Marvel in that aspect a lot of the times, right? The only character I really connected with was Batman. It was just kind of like, yo, I don't really rock with this superior, like one person. It was none of their stories really connected except for Green Arrow. There was like three. It was Superman, Green Arrow, and the Warlord. and they actually ended the Warlord when I was like maybe 7 or 8, and I had at one point in my life the last issue, and it was a collector's edition. It was like,
What do you mean had?
I owned it. I owned the last print issue back in
Where
the
he
day.
doesn't have it anymore.
As in, like, when I moved back to the States, somehow some stuff got missing on the transport from Europe to the States.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is super sad. I was very disheartened by that. But
Just a single tear rolling down Joe's cheek.
we're gonna pour one out for the Warlord comic. But his story of abandonment and the way that you like the writers and the artists were able to translate all these things to like just a good story and how it connected to different people. I thought that was dope. But
I'm just gonna do a little bit of the wall, but now I'm looking at it. I want to do all the wall from top to bottom. I might even
that's I want all my stuff is digital now, so I'd have to like print out covers and spend like $300.
You want to talk about more racism
Yeah,
in comics? Who knows this guy?
the Phantom.
Mhm.
Yo, how do you get it? What is that, an original print or is it?
That's original print. I got that one. I got this one.
Good comic though. Like
I got this
fair.
one.
To be fair,
Yeah.
good
I am
comic.
not familiar with that one. So what is the
OG
racist
one.
element of it?
Basically, he predates Superman. His whole
Okay.
thing is he went to Amazon and he found a it depends on which origin you're going based off of, but the general gist is white man goes jungle, white man comes back with relic that make him super vigilante. So he literally carries around a skull and everything. His first ring was actually a swastika before the Nazis made that a bad thing.
Right.
I have one of those.
Oh, really? That's dope.
I love it. It used to fit me like crazy, and then I loved it. But then one day somebody was like, "Dude, you don't want to beat the shit out of you for being a Nazi." I'm like, "Look at me. Do you think I'm a Nazi?" So I was like, "Okay, I'll just put it in my collection." But he is all about taking his freaking Colt 1911s and killing some bad guys. He's not really super powered. He just walks around in tights and shoots people, and weird shit happens to him almost all the time. And I love him for it.
Yeah, the Phantom it's a good comic, and I think that with comics, it's about and I've said this a million times. We don't have a mythos in this country, right? Like our quote unquote legends are corny shit like Paul.
Oh
Bunyan.
yeah, yeah. That's actually
George
really
Washington could never tell a lie and chop down a cherry tree.
Man, have you seen Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
I have. It's terrible.
It's a terrible movie.
So bad.
But that's our mythos. That's
As
it.
soon as he twirled his freaking axe behind his back and switched hands with it, I was like, no, I'm not here. As a man who lives the life of the axe, no, thank you.
Joe, since you're a big comic book guy, have you ever watched The Venture Brothers?
God, yes, I did, and I love it. I was super sad when he went on hiatus for a couple of years.
Yeah. You mean every time that between seasons?
Right. Yeah. I love. It's like they were desperate to like squeak what they could out.
Yeah.
It's like you've been having sex for so long, and you just kind of edge one out, and then like wait.
It's like everything comes back to sex.
And then but
At least
no,
we're not talking about clown porn this time.
I mean, now you want to talk about women with men voices.
Yeah. No, I know. So
but-
you were holding up Phantom, and it immediately made me think of Phantom Limb because he's even got like the same color costume and everything.
That's what he's buried off after.
But
kinda figured.
isn't that show like a parody of all those
Yes.
old comics?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's basically like, I mean, Johnny Quest exists in that universe. You know, like
Yo,
all of
Johnny
these old
Quest- Johnny Quest was the joint back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Man. I used to
And
watch.
you
See,
actually-
and I
what
think
happened-
you would actually really enjoy Venture Brothers if you sat down and watched it, Andre. But I know you're not into animation, and so that makes it a little.
Actually, that's not true because like I keep watching the Everything Wrong with TV Sins,
Mhm.
and I'm actually probably going to start watching Rick and Morty.
Okay,
and-
if you're gonna watch Rick and Morty, you gotta try to watch Venture Brothers.
first.
I'm just
Is it on Hulu?
first. You got
I don't know.
Venture
if-
Brothers is hit or miss. I think it gets taken off some networks and put in others.
Yeah, I'll find it for you though.
Okay, I'll definitely.
I have
check it out.
I have it all on DVD and Blu-ray too. So
Oh, I'm
Okay.
not even ashamed of this. Just bootleg it because Adult Swim has done that show no service.
that's also true. You don't need to feel guilty about
That's fair.
adding that to Plex.
Like the henchman in that film, I love it. Oh my god, I love it so much.
And there's so much. I did a monarch costume for Halloween one year. I'll send you pictures. It's fantastic.
I love how dorky you are. Please do more.
Yeah.
But I really do think like the last thing about comic books for me was that and I've said this and Chris likes to shit all over it, but I still firmly believe that the reason why we're going to continue to see more like entertainment from that like genre is because there's so many stories to tell, and you can update them, reframe them, and they're going to be great.
What's happening right now?
I don't know. Like
That was me shitting all over your opinion.
You have a very structured opinion. There's so many.
It was so good, and I'm sorry. I had already committed it in my head. So
You didn't know what he was going to say. You just read it.
no, I knew what he was going to say because he has said it before. No, I don't disagree that they have a ton of stories they can tell. What I guess like the issue that I was voicing previously is that the movies that they make tend to have a very formulaic plot line.
yeah,
It's not the same story, but it's like, you know, it's all kind of the same elements dropped into a similar kind of storyline. Yeah.
I don't disagree, but the thing that they can do is they can actually, like, if you think about the Avengers,
Mhm.
one of the highest grossing movies of all time, from most characters, I'm not really like, I
That
don't
was
think
pretty
about-
gross.
Depending how you determine it, the highest grossing movie, period.
Yeah, except for like, what's your boy from Avatar?
No, come on, James Cameron, really?
He's
Well,
garbage.
But Avatar got more than an Avengers.
Yeah, they
Why?
re-released.
Oh,
it in
because they
China.
did a re-release.
Yeah.
What originally what it was, Avatar was like the top. Then Marvel movies got like the Captain America, Avengers got really high up there,
Yep.
and they extended it to one more weekend and re-released it to get over it. And then Avatar's like, "Fuck you guys," re-released it to get back on top. So now
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was going to cause like a pattern of re-releasing blockbuster movies to get them the first prestige value.
It seems like it was just between those two, though, because James Cameron doesn't like comic books.
No,
He's
well,
a
wait till
piece
Titanic 2.
Oof. God, I can't wait.
The re-emerging.
Yeah. Jack comes back as a frozen zombie. All of the dead rise
God.
from the
The
sea.
band is still playing on their bone harp.
Oh, I love this
That's-
movie. Practically writes itself.
That's
Right.
hilarious.
Right?
And we'll just
So-
put Sandra Bullock on it. And we'll make it go really fast. And
Oh God, you guys are.
Sandra Bullock go
you guys-
fast?
You guys,
She's getting kind of limber. She's still as limber as she ever was in her old age. I just don't want her to fall and hurt her hip.
I just watched Ocean's 8 again the other day.
I've never
yeah.
watched it.
So I actually just sent
It's not terrible.
an invite to Fire Guy to Plex. So
Nice.
yeah,
It sounds like a drug, like a plastic drug you're pushing.
Plex is that joint. Yeah, it's definitely that hookup.
So we were talking about this at the beginning, and this because we're in pop culture, I can bring this up. What was the name of the drug that they took in Dredd? Do you remember?
No.
I don't think it's glass.
No, but it is like a one syllable. Slow. That's right.
Because it slows you the hell down.
Yeah. The scene where they throw the guy off the balcony.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want that drug.
Oh, I know. Like that would be the worst. Like just falling for like ages and knowing. Yeah, that was what it felt like when I was ziplining.
Imagine you're taking it and you're eating Doritos real slow.
Oh, that flavor would be too intense.
Yeah.
But so Dredd was actually a perfect example of comic book movie and at its peak. Dredd is one of my top 3 comic book movies, period. And I was so in love with how well they treated that movie. I bought it on multiple digital fronts. I bought it in 4K. I bought it in Blu-ray. There's this elusive steelbook copy that's been floating around that was only available through Best Buy. If somebody watches this and has that, hide
The
it.
second one or the original one?
So I'm coming for it. No, the second one.
The
The
second
remake.
one was,
Yeah, the
original
remake with
was-
Carl Urban.
The original one was good too. If you like campy bullshit.
Yeah, if you're a Sylvester Stallone fan. Yeah.
Yeah, but if
Or if you're
serious
was it Rob
Zombie.
No, it was Rob Schneider.
Oh yeah. The second one was dope, yo.
The second one was insane. It was so good.
I was so happy to see Judge Dredd get real appreciation, like real honest. Like this is uncompressed Judge Dreddiness. I'm sorry if you're watching this, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, Judge Dredd, he looks a lot like he's the Punisher." I'm like, nope, he's so much worse.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
So he's so evil in a good way. I love him. Like he's
the anti-hero it's a good trope, if I'm being honest.
But do you think that the anti-heroism stuff is something that starts to contribute to what we see in, to kind of bring this full circle?
And it can talk about that dude who shot those people who got out of jail.
Which one?
The white kid. I keep.
Oh, Rittenhouse. Yeah.
I have no memory of him because I don't care. But
I do wonder, does this anti-hero fetishism that I feel like we are starting to get into to a certain extent in this country, start contributing to some of the gun violence that we see?
No,
right?
I don't think the two things are connected.
Okay.
I would say that there was going to be gun violence anyway. The desire to be vigilante, being a vigilante or pseudo vigilante, empowers the people who were going to do something stupid like that anyway.
Okay, that makes sense.
Justice. In reality, they're just being assholes.
I just didn't know if there's this glorification of the violence at this point. With stuff like Punisher and Dredd, where you get to a point where it's
has a part of violence compared.
But when you tag that with the anti-hero piece of it, and I think you get somebody that feels, like they're bullied or looked down on or mistreated within, say, a school environment, feels like I'm the anti-hero, right?
So
that's what I'm wondering.
The anti-hero works great when you have a Red Hood or the Punisher or a Judge Dredd, where you understand the gaps in the system, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody does something completely outside the lines, and they're going to walk. It's insane to think that should be true, right? Like Rittenhouse.
But is it okay? I mean, in your opinion, in real life, if somebody does something heinous and gets away with it because of the legal system, is it okay for an individual to take the law into their own hands?
I wouldn't blink.
But isn't that ultimately up to the individual and how they feel whether or not justice was served?
So this kid Rittenhouse, right? Seriously, that's a real life situation.
That's a great example that we can work with, right?
Yeah. It's like he was the villain the whole way through the story. He intentionally bought a gun. He intentionally went to a place he doesn't live at. Mm-hmm. He, quote unquote, was trying to defend something.
Right.
He caps off on two people and kills them in the street. And our system, because the gaps, because of, limiting how justice could be served. Dude, and he's the villain. He's the epitome of the Joker, killing
multiple
people and going to Arkham.
But not everybody sees him that way. I'm not saying they're right, but
a lot of people treat him as a hero or in society for being picked on like that. He went out there, he served the Commonwealth, he put down two bad people who deserve to get shot. I've heard that rhetoric so
exactly. And I'm certainly not here to support that, right? I think you guys both know that. But
I'm not saying
what I'm trying to get at is and it's tricky talking about a real life situation, because I don't think it would be okay for somebody to just walk up to Kyle Rittenhouse and shoot him in the head and be like, boom, justice is served.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not tricky.
I don't
situation. Just own up to how you feel. That's your opinion.
But I'm saying I don't think that is acceptable. Do you feel like that?
Because
if his family did, I wouldn't skip a beat.
If his family shot and killed him, you wouldn't care? Is what you're saying? But if somebody else did?
Some in-house justice.
The person that probably needs justice for that, because he wasn't tried fairly, right? If his family was nah, he deserved, and this is me, if his family was that needs to be cleaned up, that ledger needs to be balanced, I wouldn't skip a beat.
So the way I see, because
well, let me pause.
No, I understand. Let me bring
it back. I feel pretty bad for saying that, because I know it's not the mainstream thought, but as somebody that understands like the legal system and understands how it can be kind of like, some people get off on some shady crap.
Yeah.
I mean, the ledger's got to be balanced, That's just like real talk.
But is that our job?
Going back to comic books,
I said if it was his family.
But that's what I mean, like our meaning humanity, right? Like, and to an extent, I want to bring religion into this because I feel like part of it is that these people will get theirs in the end, right? Like you live your life on this earth, and if you were a shitty human being who went out and killed 2 people where in your heart you knew you wanted to go do that, like when you're dead, your ass is going to hell. Like, right? I mean, like
so the thing about religion in that respect, and I know Andre's got less to say about this, but religion in that respect only works for the victims, because you think that because they're going to get their just desserts in the afterlife, that allows me to cope with the injustice of society as it is now.
Sure.
But at the same time, it also enables people to take advantage of the system to perpetrate their acts of cruelty.
I don't disagree, but I just feel like you kind of got to pick a side. You can't straddle that line and be like, well, it's not okay to kill people unless you're a part of my family and I don't think what you did was right, in which case I can walk up and cap you. Like, to me, that doesn't seem
I'm not saying that
I'll get back to that.
I'm not saying that I'm like, go put like some lead in this.
I know you're not telling people to do that.
I'm saying like I would be like, yeah, that's kind of, you asked for that. Like, to be quite honest with you, I'd be like, yeah, you kind of there. We could all most people would probably agree that trial went south.
It was bullshit.
I mean, yeah, it was a crap trial. Like the judge, I feel like did a terrible job. They had one black juror and they found reasons to, excuse every single other one on there. Like the whole thing was a sham. I'm not disagreeing, but at the same time, it's kind of like these are the rules that we have all signed up to participate by.
So here's the thing where I like, and this is the fine line that I'm walking, right? I 100% understand there are times where you have to believe, especially with my faith, that vengeance is not mine, right? Now, I would not act on that. I would probably struggle with that for the rest of my existence, that this person got away with something that was unjust, right? I would not react that way. But if one of the victims' families did, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, they're wrong. I'm like, no, I kind of get it. Like, I totally get why that was your reaction.
Would you support that family member being tried and convicted for murder?
Oh, sure. 100%.
Okay.
I'm not saying like I'm going to give one, like I would understand.
Yeah, that it's a pass.
Yeah. You don't get like a get a jail free card for this one, but I'm saying like, I don't disagree with why they responded that way. Right. I
mean, I could certainly understand it. Yes. Like I can understand why somebody would respond that way.
Yeah.
I guess my underlining point is more just that me personally, I find my beliefs, especially lately, have led me to like, I don't know, man, taking life in general. I'm just, I know.
I'm a self-professed pacifist, like to a degree.
Well, and we talked about this before, and you even came back the next episode. We're like, after listening back to what I was saying, I kind of gotta like rethink some things here. Yeah. And so I understand that. I'm not, but the reason I'm bringing it up is just to kind of to tie it into this whole conversation. And Joe, I think you were going to talk something about the vigilantism or
damn right I was.
All right.
What else? Going back to comics, I think the reason we see a rise in vigilante media and comic books and series like that is because as a nation we're struggling with that. We don't know how to feel about that, and because of that, we have Punisher getting a TV show, but at the same time we're getting Punisher on a poster almost blocked out. Like you can't really see it because of the glare, but the Punisher is sideways, so his skull isn't being shown, and that's direct relation to the Blue Lives Matter retaliations that we see on protesters. They utilize the Punisher skull as their war cry and their backlash against BLM people, which I hate. Like I drive a Hummer and I have a Punisher skull as an air freshener and I leave it there not because I'm support, Blue Lives Matter, or I want Black Lives Matter people to get hurt, but because I'm trying to when people ask me, well, why do you have it? This is why I have it. This is the original idea of Punisher. He's a vigilante who killed true criminals, gangsters, rapists, drug dealers, because the system protected them or didn't even notice that they were making crimes.
Right.
He's not someone out there fighting social justice protesters or tasing people or macing them. That's just a shield people hid behind.
The myth that the fact that people can take those heroes out, they're heroes because of the context, right?
Well, which is also hilarious, speaking of context, because if you take the true context of the Punisher, he's almost anti-police, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
he's got love and admiration for police and law enforcement and military, but he's like, you guys are failing.
yeah.
I'm going to fix it where you guys don't have the balls to go.
So basically, the last person that would be standing up there being like, "We got to protect blue lives," is the Punisher.
Yeah. So it's like you can't take them out of context. You can't take Wolverine. You can't take Iron Man. You can't take Batman. You can't. They are the American mythology, right? These people that we did our young budding country. That's our mythology. I look up to these people in a way of, well, I know they're fictional, but I also understand that the principles in which they stand for aren't necessarily fictional because they're principles.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Exactly.
So would Batman just like murk somebody just because it's Tuesday? Nah, no. He would keep an eye on them. Right.
Unless you're talking about Damian Batman.
Yeah, Damian. Yeah. I mean,
but that was something with Batman, right? Where like, I think to some degree that was something that I always kind of got behind with Batman was it's like as much damage as this dude is out here like inflicting, he's not straight up trying to murder people. Yeah, like he could.
He's got
like, yeah, exactly. And I think like that's even the Punisher, right? Like I feel like the Punisher has a code, right? He's not just out like wantonly murdering random folks. Ronin from like Hawkeye and all that stuff wasn't just out like, oh, I'm just gonna go stab some random folks in the street.
Yeah, he wasn't grief ridden that his family was gone. That was just a reason. That was motive to not give a about his own personal safety.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a self-professed I love
that. I love
like
Ronin.
Pacifist. Like I'm not like trying to pick fights, but you don't start nothing, won't be nothing, right? I wear Hugh and I wear Malcolm.
It's a balancing act. The vigilantes are a natural reaction to injustice in an unbalanced system. How we determine what a vigilante is and how we react to that has problems. Or, like how we're seeing this court case go. A lot of people say he's a vigilante for what he did, but if you really go based on where his heart was and his intentions, he's a showboater. He's a false flag, valor stealing son of a bitch who just wanted to feel like a hero for once, and he took it way too far.
Right.
He's lucky that he's not in jail right now, and I'm deeply depressed that he was able to get away with all that. Like it's the shadows of our society, right? Until enough people say, no, that's not okay. Until like literally and really believe it and actually do something to systematically change the system as opposed to these cold water techniques. Like I'm not about that. It's like, look, it goes back to the SALT provisions. It goes back to a lot of things that we talk about where, oh, this is a great idea that can get shot down in like 14 seconds. It's what do we understand the difference between right and wrong? That's the real question, right? And when things are outside of those lines, are we compassionate to that degree? So to answer your question again, if one of those family members like fed his kids in his face, yeah, I'm not going to be like, I don't understand it because I completely understand it. It wasn't the best. It was not the best thing to do, but I'm not going to like raise a flag for this kid. Yeah. Like, I mean, so yeah. Speaking of that, like when it comes to opinions, like we got to be careful because when we look at like it's a sociological epidemic, right? Mm-hmm. We look at these things through whatever rose color lenses that we want to have, or our perspectives, or our programming and how we see the world. Our media is doing the same thing to the president. Like, and one of the things I put in the notes was like, because we've talked about this before. It's like, like Biden's only been in office for like 8 months or 3 months or 2 months or. Wow, it doesn't even feel like that.
No, it's crazy, right?
Feels
Like to
it's been
think,
3 years already.
yeah. I mean, this year has felt both extremely long and extremely short at the same time. Like I can't believe that we're almost at Christmas already. But you're right. I mean, like I think, and we've talked about this before, which is like the millionth time we've said this on this particular podcast episode, but the media fell in love with Donald Trump as president because he was a constant show. I mean, every single day you had some new, bigger. This has never happened before. We've never had a president that said these horrible things on tape. Like,
Things up in the middle.
what were you saying, Joe?
So sometimes it was multiple things that happen at once. Like he would talk about something and he'll call into the network.
Oh, even
and just go on a rant.
And that was the news cycle.
Right. That was the whole news cycle. It was like, I mean, during the candidacy when he was running, it was all, live Trump rallies, right? Let's CNN. We're just going to carry it live. We're not going to freaking fact check any of the information he says during the live presentation.
The problem is they were making fun of Trump as if he never had a chance to win. And people felt that he was the underdog, and everyone loves the underdog, and that helped raise his stardom. And then he just kind of went with that momentum before nobody could stop him. And
I don't disagree. I mean, I think that certainly played a role in it. I think everybody kind of saw the way that the media was trying to like pick on him in a sense, and we're like, well, that poor guy. I speak like that all the time to my best friends in buses when we're getting ready to go on live television. Like me and Billy, what's his name?
Reagan.
No, Billy Reagan. Billy Bush.
He said on live television that he would fondle models before they went on the show.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then Hillary's over there like laughing about it, like there's no way he's gonna win.
Exactly. That was the whole thing, right? At no point did her campaign take him seriously.
Yo, but we're doing it right now. This guy literally just sucked out all the air in the room.
No, it's true.
And it's like, yeah, but we actually have a guy in office trying to do his job.
Yeah.
But we focus on
negativity.
On negativity and
because that's what has been selling, right? I think like that's part of from a news station, cable news network perspective, right? Like negativity is what has sold for the last 20 plus years. I mean, it's longer than that, but
I will tell the news media seriously this, like
more clown porn. Got you.
I will tell the news media this, like it's not what I'm paying. Like I'm turned off by your
Trump porn.
turned
off by Trump.
I'm turned
Trump
off
porn.
Trump porn. Like I don't care.
Because that's what it is. Like they were basically trying to make a presidential campaign snuff film out of CNN live coverage, and they failed, right? And so what they did for 4 years was they continued to cover because they knew that it meant eyeballs. And then when he lost, it was like, well, this guy's going to throw a freaking insurrection. We can talk about that for how long? And now he's not president. We're barely talking about him, except that the media refuses to let us forget that this dude was in office and that during, I mean, I don't mean to like just cover a whole bunch of topics at once, but it's like we're dealing with this Roe v. Wade challenge in the Supreme Court. And we had one of like arguably the worst president we've ever had in the history of our country elect 3 Supreme Court justices in 4 years.
Right.
Like, what are we doing?
And on top of everything else, as you look at I personally don't believe that the president has anything to do with unemployment. I personally don't believe that the president of the United States has anything to do with trade.
Yeah.
Or
the strength of the economy, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's more accurate.
AKA the stock market.
But for everything holy, like he does a press conference and can reporters and journalists stop asking him about, well, do you have a cold? Like, who cares? Like that's a question in a press conference.
Yeah.
And 80% of the time, I strongly feel that the media gets it wrong as to what is news to the people of this country.
Yeah.
That's it. It's Tiana Trump. I was trying to think of the porn star that named herself she named her stage name after Trump to say "fuck you." She's like, if there's any Trump that needs to get fucked, it's me. That's her line.
Nice.
Because of that, the Trump administration like kind of blackballed her from the internet for a while, so it was hard to find her stuff. And then she got pressed on drug charges. She got arrested for marijuana for a couple years. So that like there's so much you can go into that rabbit hole about just putting the Trump name on things that Trump doesn't feel like it should be associated with. Having that said, look up her material. It's fantastic. Fantastic stuff. It's not clown porn, but it's fantastic. And this has been Joe's Adult Corner. Thank you for coming.
This is not a segment we are adding to the show.
Oh,
To be clear, I'm sorry,
I
Joe.
saw what you did there, but I just think that the news media needs to do a better job of trying to get it right.
Well, I mean, part of it, I think, is the freaking jackholes that we have in the news media. I mean, you got guys like Chris Cuomo who weren't satisfied with just coming after our podcast, you know, with his buddy Don Lemon, but then has to go out and help his brother avoid sexual harassment charges, or try and fail miserably, and then get accused of sexual harassment himself.
So the people like this wouldn't be famous if it wasn't for the fact that they speak to a very precise audience that's very addicted to that type of media. Like we don't consume our media that way. We don't just turn on cable television and sit there for 5 hours hoping they say something about, you know.
Well, the news loop is like, it's very repetitive.
So I'm staying with my folks right now, right? And every morning my mom puts on the Today Show after the local news is done. And the local news I don't mind, right? Like it's informative. There's lots of there's some bad stuff going on.
Baby. You gotta say something sad and depressing. I just wanted to show a baby onesie.
That's dope.
No, it's all good.
We never officially left the comics side of guys. You never segue to something else. I'm just
sorry.
No, this is all under pop culture because we're talking about the media and their coverage of stuff.
Continue about Trump's balls.
No, we weren't talking about Trump's balls. Damn it. What was I talking about? I was talking about Chris Cuomo getting fired. I had something good there too. Like it was going to be very poignant, very well thought out.
Chris Cuomo was coming after us with Don Lemon and
sexual harassment.
And then he got sexual harassment. It's completely gone now. It's all good. It really wasn't going to be that interesting.
As a New Yorker, I'm very
Am I your kryptonite?
No.
As a New Yorker, I'm it's kind of sad to see the Cuomo family kind of like fall off the horse.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll land at Fox News, no problem.
I don't think he'll go to Fox News.
He's definitely
all the Fox News people seem to be trying to come over to CNN and NBC for a while. So I thought maybe this was the beginning of the reverse shift for the people who get fired from CNN or whatever bad shit. Fox News is like, welcome.
But think about it this way: Jeffrey Torbin, who got
I just remembered what it was.
He got
Go ahead.
Okay, because it's Fox News related. It was like my neighborhood, app the other day. The neighborhood online app, and there's a lady that was like, next door, thank you.
Like a Facebook ripoff, but more like focused.
Yeah, basically. And so some lady was like, is anybody else having trouble getting Fox News on their cable subscription? And I was like, this has got to be one of the best comment threads available right now on the internet. And sure enough, it was the first one was like, Fox News is coming in fine at mine. The second person, like, take it as a sign, Janice, don't watch Fox News. And then like 50 comments, oh, you must be a CNNer. Like, oh, it was priceless. It was so good.
Wow, so I was gonna post, hey, I'm just watching clown porn, leave me alone. I'll take off my line.
They don't carry that on Fox News, so
You're like, I don't post clown porn on your cable, Janice. Stop coming to my internet.
right.
So I think that
I'm gonna get you guys to watch it at least once.
I am not
No,
watching.
no, you're not.
It's a paradigm changer. You after watching it once, regular sex is so much better.
Then you're not doing it right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 86th episode and apparently final one.
I just feel like I got no, like, I struggle talking about Andrew Cuomo, right? And it's because I am a New Yorker. It's like, dude, come on, man. I do believe he'll be fine. I do believe that Jeffrey Torbin, for example, he got caught like masturbating on Zoom. CNN brought him back, right? So it doesn't mean that doors necessarily close. So all these allegations, except for possibly the sexual harassment, doesn't mean that CNN won't bring him back.
I mean, it's not like they caught him with clown porn.
I wish they did.
I'm
At least the media would start talking about that again.
But what was interesting was
afraid of clowns. Let's them. I'm just gonna say that. How about that?
instead of being like
I immediately regretted saying that as soon as I said it.
Yeah. It's gonna be a long beat. What I find interesting is that there are some people in the CNN team that kind of like jump ship on him. Maybe he was difficult. I don't know. That's why I don't care about celebrities' like personal lives. But I do believe, like, I'm a 70 or 60 to 70% like fan of Chris Cuomo because he could be very objective. The remainder of it, there was always kind of like that. I don't know if I would say that type of stuff from him, but I don't think obviously his career's not dead. It's just a matter of what it means for the media. To me, it's like your track record of providing news is not very good. Like, please, let's stop and let's just focus on the news.
Let's all go watch the News Hour. They've been the only one that been doing it right. No one's talks about the News Hour. They only have like 500 viewers.
Or NPR. NPR does a pretty balanced.
Oh my God, talk radio is so sexy. Just hearing people's like,
Joe, you must be so lonely right now.
So for you to know, sir, I've been like this quite often throughout my life. This is just, yes.
This is just being recorded.
Yeah. Don't let it be. Use it. Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't like getting your intellectual heart on like massaged through talk radio, I don't know who the hell you are.
Yeah, that's fair. NPR
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I sometimes I sometimes open up the app just to hear BBC World News at 3 a.m. just because it's the accents and the horrible, depressing stuff they talk about is so good.
But the BBC and other like European news outlets, they actually just tell you the facts and move on.
Yeah.
Which is really
there's no entertainment to it.
Well,
there's no opinion.
Yeah, and it's great. It's like okay,
it's actual news.
Yeah, I can form my own opinion or at least have an idea of what I think about this or if I want to like read more about it.
Here, let me ask a question about this though. In respect to opinionated, channelization of news, as we're seeing with CNN, Fox News, all that, MSN, which no one really talks about, but
because they shouldn't.
All right, but are we, as a nation, I get how we find entertainment in it, but do we? Because BBC World News is so dry and depressing that anyone who are listening to it, for the most part, comes to the same level of judgment or thought process of what they feel about something. Having that, with that in mind, I'm trying to say this where it can be understood. With that in mind, as a nation, are we just incapable of feeling the need, feeling like we can agree on something? We're so used to fighting on everything that even dry news has to have an opinion.
I think it's even more like intellectually lazier than that. I think that we look at partisanship as a sense of belonging, and that becomes the lens and the voice that we want to talk about. It's not necessarily that we believe the opinions, it's just that we just want to have a dog in the fight, which is really like intellectually lazy. Like I can honestly say, like, I don't have an opinion on like one way or the other about the Second Amendment. I can say that the argument that people use is wrong. I don't want to say take your guns away, but if we're not going to do that, if we're not going to address the main issue, the issue at hand, can we address that? Right.
Yeah.
Americans in general don't have that makeup, in my opinion. I just don't think that's part of the conversation.
I think it's definitely something you have to be learned. You have to be taught how to be objective in that matter. And critical thinking is not as taught as it used to be.
Something that we have talked about before on here. It's like common sense. It's not so common anymore, you know?
Yeah. It's a luxury.
You're more likely to do a Google search and end up on clown porn than you are differential with common sense about politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
You're
Try to fact check me. Try it.
I will.
I'm going to Google right now. Oh, clown porn! Damn it!
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today on the clown porn episode.
That is not the title of the episode.
It will be.
Just to be clear, no, it won't be.
Wait, political circus and clown porn. Boom. There's your name.
God, that is good.
Yeah.
We're super glad you joined us, and we hope that AWS gets their technical difficulties fixed.
I missed them.
Yeah. Now you're gonna.
Zoom is a poor replacement for Riverside. No offense, Zoom. It's just you weren't meant for recording multiple channels of video podcasts at the same time, and Riverside was. So
of recording studios.
Yeah, that's basically it.
If
the dollar store.
Dollar General. Who spoke about Dollar General last time?
Yeah.
Nice.
If you enjoy this episode, hit us up on YouTube, obviously. If you're watching the video, like and subscribe and click the notification bell, please. And if you're listening to the audio, we're on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, TuneIn. And for the super adventurous and somewhat technically inclined people, you can go to our website, chrisandandreshow.com, grab our RSS feed, and put that into your favorite podcast or RSS.
Just jam it in there as hard as you can. I don't know. This episode went off the rail like halfway through, and I apologize because
it's all me. Because I have a feeling none of the episodes were like this until I came on to the show.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. Yeah. We'd have to be like, yeah, we don't want to say that, but please follow us, like our stuff. I don't want to use
for the love of God, please. It sounds like you're begging people. Please follow us, like our stuff. It's like Sally Fields. You like us. You really like us.
The video always can be found on YouTube, and again, subscribe to one of our many channels, audio and our video. You can follow us on Facebook at Chris and Andre, on Twitter at Chris and Andre. Send us comments at chrisandandreshow.com. As always, I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
and I'm guest star Joe.
You are officially friend of the show, Joe. You're
friend of the show, Joe. It even rhymes.
Look at that. In pie form.
Okay. We'll make you a pie badge.
You guys are both idiots.
We're gonna rename the show Andre and Two Idiots.
As always, I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll talk to you next time.